Go.
Hey everybody, today we are going to be discussing the metal non-metal lab, which is on page 16 in your packet. So if you could first write down the symbols of each element, and then we're going to go through and look at some properties which we shall discuss along the way. All right, and you can always pause the video so you can write these down. All right, so what we are going to do first is look to see if the sample looks like metal. Is it shiny or is it dull? So here is A. This is carbon. Is it shiny? Not so much. Okay, it looks like charcoal because it is. So what we write down, since it's not shiny, we write down it as dull. And then we are going to look at these two containers. This is before hammering and this is after hammering. So what you can see is that it doesn't just flatten out and change shape, it actually kind of turns to a dust. So that means it's brittle. And we write that here. And finally, we're going to use a conductivity tester to see if it conducts electricity. And we'll know that if the red light comes on. And it does not. So we say it is not conductive. Second sample is a little bit smaller. So you can see it's got like a silvery color. So since it looks like metal, we say that that's shiny because it's, silver or brass or gold colored or copper. And then we look in our containers. This is before hammering and this is after. So it's still it hasn't shattered, it flattens out. So what that means is it's flexible or malleable. That means you can pound it into different shapes for different uses. So we write down flexible. And then, so when you do the conductivity test, you have to make sure both of these electrodes are touching your sample. And this is kind of a little sample, so it's hard. So I'm going to hang on to it so it doesn't move around. And you can see red light, that means it's conductive. All right, next sample is Si, which is silicone. This is what it looks like. It's pretty shiny. So I would say that yes, that does look like a metal. If you're on your phone or on your iPad right now, you can thank silicone for making up a lot of that processor. All right, here is before. The before shot looks like a rock. The after, it's shattered. So what does that mean? Brittle. And finally, let's test the conductivity. See, the red light is on, that is conductive. So we say yes. Okay, move this guy out of the way. Now we are on sample D. Okay. Look at this. This is a big piece of tin. It's very big, shiny, silver metal. So we say that is shiny. Not yes. We say that is shiny. I just wrote yes for this one too. Shiny. All right. So here's an original sample, and then here it is. So obviously they look different, but it's just been flattened. It hasn't shattered into a powder. So this is an example of being flexible or being able to be pounded into different shapes or flattened with a hammer. So that's an important property. So we say flexible, and then what do you think? Conductive or not conductive? There we go. See the red light? Oh, it's just my electrode's not touching it. There we go. Conductive. All right, next, on to sulfur. If you ever have that rotten egg smell sometimes, you can thank sulfur for making that smell. All right, so look at it. It's yellow. I've never seen really a yellow metal before, so I'm going to say this is dull. It does not look like metal. So dull. Before, it's a nice rock. After, it is shattered. So that's brittle. My conductivity tester. Nothing's happening. Okay, so that is not conductive. All right, now we've got iron, which is Fe. This is actually a nail that's made out of iron. And it is silver and it is shiny. All right, so here's two different samples, the before and the after. It just looks a lot flatter and skinnier. It hasn't really changed that much, didn't shatter, so that is also a flexible one. So shiny, flexible, and maybe so far you've been noticing a pattern with some of this data. Some things that are shiny and flexible are also conductive. So there you go. That one's conductive. Did you see that one? Okay. Yes. All right, two more. Thank you for paying attention for so long. Remember, you can always pause the video if you have to write some of your data down on page 16. All right, so we got this guy. Silver, shiny, looks like metal. And before and after, okay? It's just been flattened out, so it is flexible. I know they look like little pieces, but they're flat pieces. They didn't shatter into a powder. And conductive, that's very conductive. And last but not least, everybody's favorite metal because of the Copper Cycle lab. That was your favorite lab. This is copper. It's pretty shiny, not silvery shiny, but copper shiny, like a penny. And all right, so here's like some little copper balls, and then here's some flat copper. So you can see that it's been pounded. It still looks similar. It's just flat. So that is flexible, and that's really important for copper because we use copper in a lot of things like electricity and plumbing. So it's a good metal to use. All right, and it is conductive. See, red light, very conductive, which is why it's used in a lot of electrical wiring. All right, so we can look to see if we have some patterns here. So we want to classify things as metals, nonmetals, and metalloids. So to classify something as a metal, it says it has luster. That means it is shiny. Are malleable, which means it is flexible, and conduct electricity. So I'll show you one right here. Okay, magnesium, shiny, flexible, conducts electricity. So that is a metal. So you're going to do that. Find all the metals first. And then if they are dull, brittle, and do not conduct electricity, that's going to be a nonmetal. It's basically the opposite of a metal. It has all the opposite properties. You're going to write the symbols here. And if you find one or two that have both properties that are a combination of metals and nonmetals, we call those metalloids, and you're going to write it here. So finally, you're going to need your periodic table, and you're going to find where these elements are on the periodic table, and you are going to plot them like a graph. So for example, Mg is number 12 on the periodic table. I can see it on that lovely periodic table in our room. And we're going to do the same for the rest of the elements and see if there's a pattern in where they are placed on the periodic table. And once you have that done, check with your teacher and they will have you highlight and color in the metals, nonmetals, and metalloid section. Thanks.